Good morning, and thank you for attending my meeting. This is Chris Stewart, your Chief Information Officer for Stewart Life Insurance. As you may know, I have just returned from a seminar on cloud computing in Simi Valley in California, and I'd like to share with you some of the things I've learned at this seminar and to make a proposal for our company to move some of our business, some of our contextual business into a cloud. The agenda for today is in two parts. The first being an introduction of our goal, a background, very simple, of cloud computing, experiences, the security versus benefit trade-off story, scope of use requirements, and some best practices in moving forwards. In the second part, I'm going to present a proof of concept financial budget for moving part of our business into a cloud, part of our contextual business into a cloud, including an expected outcome, what we hope to gain from this, in addition, some alternative outcomes to test the sensitivity of some of the variables in the formula. Followed by conclusions, recommendations for Stewart Life Insurance. In addition, then, lessons learned, as this is an academic presentation, not actually applicable to the real world. Please use at your own risk. Right, so our goal, and it's the goal, I think, of everybody who's outsourcing, and this is what we're talking about here, is to lower our costs and increase the efficiency of our business through the use of a cloud as an infrastructural service. And I will explain later, there are three types of services for cloud computing. We are going today focus on infrastructure as a service in the cloud. The second goal or objective of our meeting today is to understand the basic premise, the implementation of cloud computing, and some of the risks and the benefits, and do a financial analysis, including the NPV, internal rate of return, the PI, and payback. I've written a mantra for us today, and this is, although security and cost management of a cloud are real issues, the financial benefits to Stewart Life are clear. Right, some background. What is a cloud? Other than bad weather, a cloud is effectively a platform, a service, infrastructure into which we can export some of the contextual parts of our business. The idea, the key words these days is core and context. The core of our business is life insurance. The context are the tools, the infrastructure, what we use to make the business happen. Therefore, in the cloud world, there are three services. First is infrastructure as a service. The second is a platform as a service. The third being a software as a service. Which one are we focusing on? Today, we're going to focus on infrastructure. The concept that I have in mind for cloud computing is effectively, it is the new Bangalore, India, a place where people used to outsource or still do outsource many of the services they consider to be contextual in their business. The fundamental difference between classic outsourcing models and tools and cloud computing is that cloud computing allows the customer user of the service to access the information in that platform on servers in remote, isolated locations distributed around the world. In fact, places we may not even know where they are. We can access the data anytime, all the time, on our tablets, on our phones, on our desktop computers in the office. It really creates a more dynamic outsourcing model. An example of this, an experience, is Microsoft that has announced by 2018 will have moved their business processes into a cloud. These business processes are obviously a context of their business. It's not as their core business. Therefore, the impetus to move it out and reduce their cost, increase efficiency. And this can be seen directly in that 2 data centers have been closed already. Leases on further sites have been terminated, and a savings of approximately $200 million in server replacement costs have been achieved. And this is according to an article in the Tech Republic that was presented to us while in California. What Microsoft has implemented, and I will mention this again later today, is a hybrid solution, an internal and external infrastructural cloud solution. Now, let's get into a few of the disadvantages or the key risk in cloud computing, and this is security. It is so-called the questioning of the silver lining of cloud computing. things are not quite as good as they seem. And we know, for example, very, very high profile, the Edward Snowden story, for example, and very recent, in the last couple of weeks, the BBC and other news outlets reported on the theft of celebrity photos from Apple's iPhoto cloud image library. There's a trend developing, an alternative trend for internalized clouds where many of the servers and security features are actually maintained in-house, although they're owned and operated by this service provider. Still, despite the risk, there is a benefit, and companies are still reporting upwards to 50 to 90% quarterly increases in the use of a cloud. Again, as I said, it's core over context. Let's focus on our core business and move the context out. The key drivers being time to market, scalability of the process and of the tool, startup and operational costs. These are all reductions in startup and operational costs, faster time to market, easier scalability. Again, then cost management being the key issue. Proposals are now floating around that say instead of doing it all at once, you do a pay-as-you-go, or as Cisco Systems was explaining, pay-as-you-grow. We're talking about managing the migration of data from our internal server banks into an external server bank. Managing this is a key issue in scalability. And again, resource allocation. This has to do with managing cost and people and time, ensuring that value add is seen through an increase in efficiency for our company. The extent to which you externalize your data and your information and your context is key, and therefore you can evaluate the use of hybrid solutions, some in-house, some out of house. Okay, let's talk about my proof of concept that I mentioned earlier to test this idea in a real way for our company. All the numbers that I'm going to present are theoretical for analytical purposes only. The KPIs are increased efficiency and reduction in human resources and recurring facility costs. A sensitivity analysis, so alternative models, P90, P50, or whatever the term is used these days, to examine effective lower efficiency or a less than expected headcount reduction. The fixed variables in the model are 10% cost of capital, 30% tax rate, and a 6-year period. Here is our larger spreadsheet or budget. This has been distributed to you in the handouts that you have in front of you today. As you can see, there is an initial cost for doing this. There is a direct benefit for doing this, an increased efficiency, reduction in human capital, a reduction of facility management costs, but there are management costs that are directly connected to paying for the service over the period of time. In-house management of the cloud is still going to cost us some money. We have capital expenditures, administrative costs, etc. But the end game, as you see here, it looks very positive. So let's have a look at the analysis of this spreadsheet. CapEx of 190,000, so a very small proof of concept. Increased efficiency we expected over 6 years of 27%. Human capital is reduced by 50,000 year on year, so we're going to reduce our headcount in the management of data. Reduction in facility costs, we're going to close part of our server banks. This should present a cost savings to us. And now the metrics, as you can see here, net present value, IRR, payback period, and profitability index are in this model very interesting. At 21% IRR, we can all agree is a very nice amount, and the PI is well above 1, which is a positive indicator. Again, detailed analysis in the accompanying Excel workbook. Now let's have a look at the sensitivity of this. I'm running 2 separate models. The first is a lower than expected reduction in labor. The second is through a slower and less rewarding increase in efficiency of only 11%, leading then ultimately to an addition of labor. And this you will see in the spreadsheet. The second 2 tabs of the spreadsheet lay out these 2 models. As you see, we have now a negative net present value, a rate of return on one side, which is the lower than expected reduction in labor of 9.5%, and barely breaking above 0% return on the second model, with the 2 variables then affecting us negatively. Both cases, the PI is less than 1, not a good indicator of a positive investment. Therefore, we must look how to manage these variables, the increase in efficiency, reduction in labor. Therefore, it requires very careful planning. Efficiency and value add are not given. The synergy between the user and the provider is key. There is no guarantee that the service provider you choose is going to be the best for our company. We must look carefully, and the model with which we contract these companies is key. Pay-as-you-go or pay-as-you-grow service is said in academic literature to be effectual. The Journal of Supercomputing published an article very recently that's in my references on this topic. Reduce resource costs to customers, which is key for us as the customer, and allowing us to focus on core business using limited application software and cloud infrastructure. My conclusion, projected financial benefits remains challenging. Management of the service contract and operational costs are paramount. Increased efficiency should be monitored carefully and contingencies planned for. Therefore, pay-as-you-go, pay-as-you-grow may be a better way to go. And the direct benefits from reduced overhead are easily analyzed and easily realized by outsourcing. Lessons learned from this exercise: not all providers are the same. Academic research has shown that there are many different service providers out there with many different ways of analyzing and providing service models that are not all the same. The cost-benefit optimization is still in development. Multiple variables in financial planning and security are creating uncertainty and potential for less than desirable outcomes. Therefore, all variables, efficiency, increase and decrease in cost, should be watched closely. Finally, second, lessons learned: the services are developing. There's a lot of discussion on the pay structure, pricing, and of course security. There is a discontinuity between those who use cloud and those who sell the services. And the know-how for developing the business case that I've just given you, the YouTube and similar web-based media for cloud computing is easily found and plentiful. Here are my references. I thank you very much for your attention and good day.